LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing, co-hosts Brian Schmidt, PJ Noodleman, and producer Dangerous Dan Margetta. Call the show anytime at 414-421-70. The creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
Well, good morning, and it's not Todd Bailing to bring the show on. We got a little bit of different format here on the LTN Hour for this. I'm Dan Margetta. I'm coming to you from the 22nd floor of the MGM Grand Hotel here in Las Vegas. We're getting ready to have our playoff race at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Time to put a driver into the championship four if one of the remaining drivers in the round of 8 can actually win this race. Things are a little bit kind of discombobulated a little bit here this week, but we're going to get through it. And I'm out here in Vegas. Brian Schmidt is here as well. He is in Oostburg back in Wisconsin. Good morning, Brian.
Morning, yes. I might be the only one in my normal spot. Me and Matt, I think, are the only two in our normal spots today.
I think that's it. PJ is not joining us this week. Again, she's dealing with issues with her mother and health-wise and taking care of that. So she will not be with us this week. And our normal guy that comes on and brings us on to bring the show on every week, Todd Bailing, he's on his way to Arizona, and I think he's somewhere on the road. We did get a hold of him. Last we heard you were somewhere in Nebraska, correct?
Yeah, westbound and down. I know the sound isn't the greatest out here on the freeway, but whatever the T-Mobile network allows me, that's where we're at. So southern Nebraska.
This is like a role reversal because usually Dan and I are on the road, and now this time Todd's on the road.
Yeah, I'm heading for Salt Lake City, actually, to visit friends. So it's not exactly on the way to Arizona yet.
No, and you're kind of getting closer to where I'm at. I'm over here in Las Vegas. We're ready to go racing today. And this fall race in Vegas has usually got a reputation for being so hot. Not today. It's going to be beautiful. Like 78 degrees and sunny. Should be a perfect day to watch this race. And it's a 1.5 mile track. And like we'd seen before on the 1.5 mile, they produce pretty good racing. And I think we have a pretty good chance of maybe putting a guy in the Final Four if one of those playoff 8 remaining drivers win this race. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, well, right now it looks like it's like an all Gibbs starting, top 3 here. Hamlin, Briscoe, Bell, 1, 2, 3, and then you have the next 3 are the Hendrick cars: Elliott, Byron, Larson. So as of right now, it looks like it's going to be a Gibbs versus Hendrick day again on the 1.5 miles. Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick start 7th and 8th, and then you got Joey Logano, the man they let get through last week. Everybody, should have been found a way to get him eliminated, and they didn't. There he's going to sit there in 9th. So the question is Logano going to do it again? I mean, this is the race you would think if he's going to punch his ticket to the Final Four, it would be today. But I don't know if that Ford's going to be good enough. Yeah, I don't know. And the Gibbs being on the take on the top 3 spots and qualifying, that was kind of surprising because in practice, I don't think they had the long run speed or the. Actually, they were working on long run speed. I don't think they had the short run. They thought to get those first 3 spots. I think they were kind of hoping for like a top 10 maybe, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 there they were, and Hamlin went off and got the pole. So. Yeah, I mean it's Toyotas aren't the ones we want. It's people. If the guy is going to punch his ticket, Hamlin getting in there, this would be the day for him as well because next week is a wild card. So these guys are all going to be, frantically trying to get their ticket punched today because next week at Talladega, anything can happen, and who knows what's going to happen there. More than likely, it would be a non-playoff driver going to punch their ticket in that race. But so today is the day to get the job done. So it should be some pretty good action there today, and a little bit later start time too than normal. 4:30 our time start time, 2:30 by you, Dan, for today's race.
Yeah, 2:30 out here. I think they did it because normally the temperatures out here in the fall are so hot and it's not so bad today. But that's kind of why the start time goes. When he first put the second race, it used to be in September. I remember that, Brian, you and I were at that one.
Gosh.
It's like 107.
That was bad.
It's one of those things we all talk about, because it was like an experience. It's one of the things that we're going to talk about this years from now, and we still do on that one. As far as, we're in Vegas. That means you can actually bet on these races, and these sports books actually have odds on the race today. You want to take a guess who their odds on favorite are today?
I would have to say Hamlin's got to be right up there.
He is. There's 3 of them at 9-2. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, and Christopher Bell.
Yeah, Larson's really good here as well. And Bell won the spring race here, so I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility that he gets right up there and punches his ticket. I mean, it's all playoff drivers at the front. I think, the lowest starting playoff driver is Ryan Blaney at 14th. So these, the cream rises to the top in races like this. So you have all those guys right up in the front.
Yeah. And speaking of Ryan Blaney, as far as odd-wise, you have those 3 guys at 9-2. The next guys in the odd list are 8-1 odds, and that's William Byron and Ryan Blaney right there. So Blaney at 8-1 is there. Then Chase Briscoe at 10-1, Chase Elliott 14-1, Tyler Reddick 16-1, Joey Logano 25-1, as well as Ross Chastain, Bubba Wallace, and Alex Bowman.
Did you put any money on Logano? Because that's pretty good odds for him.
I know I did not, but that's kind of stood out, And then you go to the other end of the spectrum on your super long shots. How about Kyle Busch at 100-1? Do you ever think you'd see that at Vegas?
No, not at all. Especially that's his home race, but he's starting 32nd. What were the odds on Shane Van Gisbergen? Great qualifying run for him last week's winner, starting 13th. Didn't see that coming, that he'd be starting that far up front.
500-1, Brian.
Ooh, wow.
I don't think he's ever won an oval. His best finish was 11th, I think.
Yeah, I know, but sooner or later it's going to happen. You know what? That would really throw everybody into a tizzy. Get his 6th win of the year at Las Vegas.
That's the definition of a long shot. Remember the March race here was kind of a long shot. Josh Berry was the winner out here.
Yeah, and he's got a terrible qualifying run. He starts 29th today.
Right, but I look back a couple weeks ago. Kansas is 2 weeks ago. That's kind of a similar type track. I think you can look there to kind of see how things would go here today, and that was actually a pretty darn good race, I thought. I mean, that's one where Hamlin went and ran into Wallace, right, and let Chase Elliott steal the win from him. But we had multiple guys in contention to win that race. It wasn't like one guy went and dominated.
No, yeah, this is the showpiece for these cars. This is the last mile and a half of the year. Who would say unfortunately, but that's what it is. Unfortunately, the last mile and a half race of the year. And this is a track, Vegas, that, sooner or later, we're going to go back to Homestead next year for the championship race. Next year, and who knows after that what the championship thing is going to look like. But if you were to end a season, Dan, don't you think Vegas would also be a good place for it sometime? I mean, the weather's really great out there. You got all the vibes in Vegas. You have, casinos. You got everything you need to be a championship type event. Vegas would be the perfect place for that in the future.
It kind of would now that they got the mile and a half together as far as racing wise. And for a while, they're all the cookie cutter tracks. Nobody wanted to go to them all, but now they actually produce the best show. And yeah, it seems to be it's got the pizzazz to go with it. The town does. You can sit there and have fun all week, and there's plenty of places to stay and things to do in town besides just the race as well. So you could make a destination out of it, and I think it could be a race to have a championship here. I wonder what it'd be like with having 4 guys fight it out, kind of like they do, at Phoenix and Homestead. It always worked, but who knows? That might change. Going on 2 minutes, have just 4 guys fighting it out, maybe a different format that way. But yeah, I do agree. I think Vegas could be a season-ending event if they should so want to.
Yeah, I mean, it would be having big events back to back is nothing new to Vegas, because I think your Formula One races be a week or 2 right after that. So I don't know if that would change the logistics of having something like that, with Formula One having everything being set up. Obviously, NASCAR doesn't ever want to be overshadowed by anybody, and that would probably be the case. So maybe that's one of the reasons what's prohibiting them from maybe doing something like that in the future.
It could be. They're already starting to put stuff up in town here for that F1 race coming up in a month. Some of the roads are kind of getting turned around, or different ways to go, and barriers are up, like around the Sphere. That's all getting set up there where the cars come through that. So it's already in progress now, a month out. Now, so Todd, have you been able to keep track of anything that's going on racetrack-wise or here? Or have you been on the road pretty much all day?
You know what? I did not. I mean, raise your hand if you paid close attention to the Xfinity race yesterday. I'm sorry. It was on at the same time as the Brewers, and to be honest with you, I didn't care about the Xfinity race, so because we were watching the Brewers. But I did want to mention there's something I want to mention, but I should probably wait till after the break.
Okay. As we head getting set to go into our first break, we're kind of coming from all different areas of the United States. I'm out here in Vegas. Brian's back in Eastburg. Todd is in Nebraska on his way to Salt Lake City on the road. We're going to take our first break, and we'll be back right after this.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Fall has arrived, but there's still time to get your landscaping complete before the snow flies. And PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Chimney Mechanics installs and services wood, natural gas, propane, pellet stoves, and chimneys. We service all of Wisconsin, the UP, and Northern Illinois. We repair all brands and all models of fireplaces, no matter where you bought it. We do custom chimney caps, liners, chimney fire repairs, water and stonework, water leak repairs, and replacement dampers. We do new construction and insurance work. No job is too big or too small. ChimneyMechanics.com. That's Chimney Mechanics with an X. Check us out on Facebook.
Love waits for the snap, and here it is. Rushan has time, throws left side of the end zone. Catch made. Romeo Dobbs at the pylon. Touchdown, Green Bay. And he throws the football into the stands. To Richardson, winds up deep down the right side into a gaggle of bodies. It's broken up and intercepted by the Packers.
The home of your Green Bay Packers and the flagship of the Packers Radio Network.
And there is your dagger.
97.3 The Game.
And welcome back to LTN here on a pretty nice day out here in Las Vegas as we get ready for the South Point 400 at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Again, I'm Dan Margetta out here in Vegas. Brian Schmitz in Oostburg. Todd is on the road in Nebraska. And you mentioned before we went to break, Todd, you mentioned you had some news items we had to take care of.
Yeah, well, for those of you who remember, Eddie Kluka was with us for 30-some years as a co-host of this program. And because Ed was on the program, we got to know and hear about his two sons. And Michael, the younger of the two boys, died a couple of years ago. In fact, he actually died before Eddie did. It was very difficult, obviously, as you would imagine, on Ed, as it would be for any parent to lose a kid. But there was three kids. Michael was the second youngest one, and he had an older brother, Scott. Scott passed away this week. He was in his 60s. I don't know his exact age, and I don't really know what took his life either. I do know that he was dealing with the fact that his dad died 2.5 years ago. His brother died about 3 or 3.5 years ago, and the gal that he lived with passed away earlier this year. So I don't know if any of that had to do anything with it. I had a call into his sister, Kathy, and I never heard back from her. But it's just that Mom and Kathy are the only two left out of the family. We're thinking of the Klukas, just a terrible set of circumstances. And if you'll remember, Scott was one of the original members of the over-the-wall team for Dale Earnhardt. What was the name of that they called themselves?
The Junkyard Dogs.
The Junkyard Dogs. They were both in it. I think Scott might have been there longer or first or something like that. But he was very, very fast at changing tires. And Scott Kluka was one of those, along with Chocolate Myers and that whole gang. And the last time I saw him, of course, was at Eddie's funeral, which is already, can you believe it, 2.5 years ago. Absolutely amazing. And not that I want to tell you about the deaths or anything like that, but for those of you who remember, the Boston Red Sox used to play regularly in Milwaukee at County Stadium, and they had a guy back in the day named Mike Greenwell. And the guy was just a great baseball player. He's in the Boston Red Sox Hall of Fame. His hometown is Fort Myers, Florida, which is almost ironic because that's where the Boston Red Sox have their spring training complex. He ended up playing for them. He's in their Hall of Fame, and when he retired from baseball, he started sponsoring race cars, and he finally got a chance to drive race cars, and he actually did 2 races in the Craftsman Truck Series in 2006, and he passed away this week at the age of 62 years old of thyroid cancer. I'm sure there's folks that remember him, probably more from baseball than racing, but just a very well respected ball player and racer, and he was a county commissioner in Florida, is what he's been doing the last, several years. So, boy, that's a cheery couple of news items, isn't it?
I remember when Scott was he was with the Junkyard Dogs, and after that he went to the 2-car with Rusty Wallace and Penske. He was there, and there was this is one of the off seasons, had to be early '90s. We used to do like some shows around town during the off season. We had him at this McDonald's restaurant in Greendale or Greenfield, and he came back from one of those and was talking about how they're gonna do a 4-tire change in less than 17 seconds, which was never heard from back then. They're obviously a lot quicker now, but back then that 17-second mark was kind of thought of it was not going to ever happen. There's no way you can possibly do it. He was on. I remember talking to him. And he said, "We're going to do it. You watch. We figured this out." And they went to Daytona that year, and sure enough, they didn't pull that off. I just always remember, like, man, he called that. They sure had their act together.
Yeah, no kidding. He sure reminded me of Eddie. Michael reminded me of his mom, but Scott was a chip off the old Ed Kluka.
Yeah, he was, and it's kind of, as it's sad, because it's you start thinking you've been around this business so long, and you meet all these people, and I guess this is part of life. You kind of lose them in that, and it's as you kind of get older, you start realizing all that boy, they're you'd be glad for the friends you have, because they're eventually we're not going to be around, and that's
later in his life he became a scuba instructor. And that's what he did. So interesting life he had. That's for sure.
Is he the one that had a parachute not open?
Nope, that was Michael.
No, that was Michael.
Okay.
Yeah. Thinking of interesting things that happen.
Yeah, and then we're all thinking of Susie and Kathy, the surviving there. That's got to be tough, and it always is, and then just hopefully what we're thinking of them. So,
no kidding.
Yeah. Moving on now, Brian, last week we raced at the Roval, and it was the elimination race. We got down to a round of 8, and like you said before in the show, they had Joey Logano on the ropes, and they let him back up.
Yeah. I mean, talk about an event. We got a couple minutes here yet. We'll get started on that. Shane Van Gisbergen, first of all, just schooled him again. I mean, it's unbelievable. He won by 15 seconds last week. Just an amazing performance by him for a while there. Larson, if you're watching it, Larson was kind of giving him the business. They were racing back and forth, and finally Shane got by him. And after the race, Larson was like, "Yeah, I thought I could race with him for a while, but then it turned out I'm just better off just letting him go, because he's just that much better than them on the road courses. It's absolutely insane." But when it comes to the points, as we expected, Austin Cindric got eliminated. Bubba got eliminated. Tyler Reddick was eliminated, kind of surprising there. Thought maybe he'd have a better run since starting on the pole. And then you have Ross Chastain, who, if you're watching closely at the end of the second stage, they had different strategies going on. Ross Chastain is running in a decent spot. He's going to collect some decent stage points. Joey Logano is floundering around on older tires. And here comes Daniel Suarez in the 99. Passing cars left and right, passing cars. They get up to the factors like a lap and a half to go, and the commentators go, "Here is Suarez. He's faster than Logano. We'll see if he passes him." They didn't really make mention to the point situation, but I'm watching it. This is inside of the top 10. You pass him, you're taking a point away from him, from Logano, and that helps out Ross. Never passed him at the end. And it's a head scratcher all the way up until the last lap. Fast forward to that, Ross Chastain gets passed by Hamlin passes Chastain coming to the checkered flag on the last lap. Ross does a bonsai move coming to the checkered flag and spins out, and they both back up into the wall. But think back to the fact that Trackhouse was unable to communicate to Suarez to get that pass done at the end. And we could talk about there's talk of, what do you call it, like manipulating the points and all that kind of stuff with the radio. We can come back with that. But just think about that for a second, that Suarez didn't get that pass done.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. We'll head to break now, and when we come back, we're going to dive into that more, because that is kind of a big issue now as we head into these final races of the playoffs. This is the LTN Hour. We'll be back right after these.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at wagnerautomotive.com.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Rush on, tight pocket. There we go. Set. There you go. There's the pressure they've been waiting for. Edger and Cooper. Cairo Santos for the game. Here's the snap. Placement made. The kick is blocked. It is blocked. It is blocked. And the Packers have won. Beautiful.
The home of your Green Bay Packers and the flagship of the Packers Radio Network.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
97.3 The Game.
And I'll wish the Packers some good luck as their game starts coming up later this afternoon. Maybe they can keep the mojo going. The Milwaukee Brewers put their way into the NLCS, the championship series. They'll be playing the Dodgers this week. We all had a fun time watching it out here. But before we went to the break, we kind of touched on the fact about this, what they consider maybe race manipulation by the teams as we knock guys out of the points and things come into hit play, especially the next three races, because it'll set up your final four. Championship four in Phoenix. I know at the Roval there were some radio communications they were kind of discussing. NASCAR said there was, I think it was the 48 car of Bowman came on and they told him that towards the end, it was like the last segment, and they're coming to the finish, and they told him, say, careful here, bud, save your tires. Or somebody else, the other team had a communication, nice and easy, bud. They thought it was like cold, like don't pass the car in front of you because it's as a fellow manufacturer, it would knock them out of the playoffs. There are the manufacturers do work together that way. You know, you got Ford, Chevy, and Toyota, and things like that do come into play in that way. But now they're trying to figure out to make sure we can't have what they call race manipulation, like what happened in Martinsville last year, where we had two Chevys running a blockade to keep the Toyota guy out. You know, that was pretty obvious, I thought, in that race, what you saw there. It's just very hard to put a black and white line on it and definitively say, okay, this is what it is. And they're looking at radio communications now. That comes in a whole new ballgame, doesn't it, Brian? Because like Denny Hamlin had said at the end of that race, if he had known Ross Chastain needed another spot, he probably would have been ready to get smacked in the back in that last lap and probably would have been more prepared for it, but the team was afraid to tell him. Right,
and that's where you really wonder, you know, what is NASCAR really looking for? So at the end of the first stage, was Trackhouse afraid to tell Suarez to go past Logano because he needed that spot? that shouldn't be. You should always be encouraging your driver to pass. But I think we've gotten to a position because they looking back at the radio, there was no communication for him to do that. And nobody really asked Suarez, but one would assume if Suarez would have known that would have made the difference that it did, he would have done it. Same with the end of the race where Hamlin said he was never really made aware of the situation at the end. But listening to a snippet of a spotter podcast, one of the spotters were saying, yeah, they're not allowed to do that stuff. Well, I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, the playoff system that we created sets up this type of stuff going on. And as a fan, that's the type of stuff you want to see. You want to see some competition. You want to see a little bit of gamesmanship. I mean, that's what makes the sport cool. And when you're going to have all these guys afterwards throw their arms up when they get out of the race and go, "Oh, I wish I would have known that." I mean, that's to me that's just taking away from it and just adding to the continued frustration that people have with this current system.
Yeah, I think it's a little different if you tell somebody, hey, you got to pass that guy. That's kind of what racing is. Go back there and get that guy. Or the guy behind you needs to pass you, so be ready for it. It's going to be some rough racing here, pretty intense, as opposed to don't pass that guy. Ride around and don't give it an effort. That's where I can see that being frowned upon. But I'm thinking if you try to do the whole system like that and you try to keep people from passing somebody, or at least not telling them, go get that spot, I'm not agree with that.
No, not at all. And I mean, and Joey's just kind of laughing that, he was not having a good day. His car was really not that good. And all this stuff going on behind him, he just, kind of lucks himself into it. And it's because of, I think it's just because of poor communication amongst all parties involved, especially Trackhouse. I think Trackhouse really has no one to blame but themselves for how that was. I mean, not to mention Ross Chastain did a lot of self-inflicted wounds all day long, leaving the pits, cooking the corner because you got a really tight 90-degree corner to leave the pits there, completely blowing that corner, having to stop and get himself straightened out. They had another pit stop that was messed up. That was really set up for him to advance through, and he didn't get it done.
Yeah, and then you start looking at that later on, and you start dissecting the race. You can find spots like that where, hey, if you'd have done this here, it would have been a huge different outcome, than what happened before. I don't know. What do you think, Todd? Do you think they should be policing radio communications now? Because, I mean, that's kind of what it's become to. And now you're not going to hear much communicating at all on the radio then.
It's crazy because they're actually fining people. They're fining drivers and teams for discussing scenarios. Well, they don't have a hell of a lot of choice. They're not the ones that came up with this stupid system. But they have to figure out what's the best move to make. And don't tell me it's not important to take care of a teammate. It is important to take care of a teammate. There's too much money on the line. But even more than that, guys, my thought was, how about a sport that has welcomed in Shane Van Gisbergen, and he's going to be the winningest driver of the year, and he doesn't even have a shot at a championship. It's not his fault that he's only good on road courses. It's, I think that Trackhouse bringing him in was the most brilliant move they could have possibly made, because imagine that. The winningest driver, and all he wins is on road courses. It's amazing.
It is, and you're stuck with that kind of situation now where your guy with the most wins isn't going to maybe have a shot at the championship at all because he was kind of not so good on everything that wasn't a road course. And plus this whole thing, they have that deal on HBO Max, I think it is now, where you can see every team has got an in-car camera and it's synced up with the radio communications, and you can go back and watch that. And you got people with lots of time in their hands to go all week long and go back there and try to find snippets of things that happen. And maybe this might be manipulation. They put it out there for the clicks and likes, and that's kind of, I think, what's also causing the stuff. It's making people kind of be afraid to say stuff on the radio. I mean, do they have code words now? Are we going to go back to just itch it? Remember that? That's what.
Yeah, our contributor Aaron Baird just pointed it out, and I totally forgot about that. He says the spotters cannot talk points, so save your tires is the code for that. I mean, why can't they talk points? That should be that makes no sense, because a driver needs to know where he stands. If you're this many points behind, he should be able to know, hey, you need to get those 2 spots because you're 2 points out. I don't get it, and to me, I don't know. I mean, if this is the system we're going to continue to run with. Yeah. Let's just let the game play out the way guys want to play it out.
I do see that you don't want people conceding spots. Just pull over and let 3 guys by.
No, but I mean, if it's a teammate, we've seen it in Formula One forever, right? I mean, how many times back in the day did we see the Ferrari when Schumacher was driving, whoever was his teammate, the particular pull over because he needed those points? I mean, it's just a part of it, I guess. I mean,
and here, at Martinsville, if somebody's pulling that and pulling it, well, then the guy behind's going to, start ramming people. Then you're going to have all kinds of chaos. But they'll have to figure something out as they get down to the end of the year. We're going to sneak away from that break. We'll be back right after this.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
Fall has arrived, but there's still time to get your landscaping complete before the snow flies. And PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Chimney Mechanics installs and services wood, natural gas, propane, pellet stoves, and chimneys. We service all of Wisconsin, the UP, and Northern Illinois. We repair all brands and all models of fireplaces, no matter where you bought it. We do custom chimney caps, liners, chimney fire repairs, water and stonework, water leak repairs, and replacement dampers. We do new construction and insurance work. No job is too big or too small. ChimneyMechanics.com. That's Chimney Mechanics with an X. Check us out on Facebook.
I'm Mark Belling, and my podcast is here, and I'm tackling the world. You can find me on the iHeart app or wherever you get your podcasts. Type Mark Belling Podcast in the search and hang on for the ride.
The Mark Belling Podcast is presented by Uline. For quality shipping and industrial supplies, Uline has everything in stock. Visit uline.com. Also supported by Kunis Auto and RV. The Mark Belling Podcast, now available at iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.
All we've heard, a lot of fans have screaming, more horsepower, more horsepower, more horsepower. We want more horsepower. That'll fix a lot of our problems on some of these tracks with the racing. Where are the more horsepower? They've been reluctant to do it. And this week, the door cracked open a little bit. They didn't give a whole lot of more horsepower, but looks like next year, Brian, we're going to be getting a little bit more horsepower on tracks that are less than a mile and a half and the road courses.
Yeah, a little bit. It sounds like they want to go from the 670 to 750, 80 horsepower on under 1.5 mile tracks and the road courses. So Bowman Gray, Coda, Phoenix, Darlington, Martinsville, Bristol, Watkins Glen, Dover, Nashville, San Diego, Sonoma, North Wilkesboro, Iowa, Richmond, Loudon, Gateway, and the Charlotte Roval, because of course we have to run the Roval again. So yeah, it sounds like that's what they want to do. NASCAR doesn't really want to come out with it until after the season is over because they don't want to have an asterisk behind the guys who win it this year saying, oh yeah, but now they're going to change the way they do it and all that kind of stuff. Interesting thoughts coming out of it. Kyle Larson probably has the best one. Kyle Larson was talking to a reporter the other day about it, and he goes, I quote, "I hope your media guys don't promote the shit out of it like it's going to fix everything, because it's not way different." That was from Jeff Gluck. So, and it's really not, because you're only increasing it by, 80 horsepower. Brian Keselowski, who was a big ARCA guy, and that's Brad's brother, he said his ARCA motor in 2007 made 800 horsepower to the rear wheels, around 850 to the flywheel, and ran over 1,000 miles on it. And it was a viable spec engine and cost half of the current engine. I guess we forgot how to do that 18 years later. So, I mean, the technology has been there forever. I mean, for NASCAR to think that this is going to change everything and do all that, no. If you remember, guys were clamoring they wanted 1,000 horsepower, 900. Your typical sprint car runs over 900 horsepower. Your typical dirt late model runs almost 900 horsepower these days. So, I mean, that's what those guys were looking for, because then you really got to have car control on those little tracks, and we're really not going to get that.
Right, you're not going to have just stick the car in the corners and stick like glue. You're going to have to hustle the car around probably, and probably actually lift in the corners too, right?
Yeah, but I mean, more so if you had the more horsepower. I mean, imagine Martinsville. If you have 900 horsepower and you're at Martinsville, I mean, you got to have an egg on your throttle when you're coming out of the corner, which is really going to make it hard to drive. And that's what the Kyle Larsons, the Chase Elliott's, the Joey Logano's of the world are really looking for, because that's going to really set them apart from the other guys. It'd be really interesting to see a guy like Connor Zilic, who's really dominating now, get him in one of those and see what kind of car control he really has. No one will know. Does he or doesn't he? But you put him in one of those cars, we'd really find out.
I guess. I mean, before, the way people always put it to me before was, the rich kids can't drive the high horsepower cars. So that was kind of why they were afraid to do that, because you had kids coming in here that were kind of they're up and coming stars that they didn't think would handle. You had to really hustle the thing with a high horsepower car, and they thought that would make them look bad. And that's just what people were talking. That you just talk amongst crowds on the scenes kind of thing. But we'll see. I wish it would increase it. I think the high horsepower thing is kind of neat, and then I like to see a car slide around the turns a little bit at least, and have a driver have to hustle the thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're hoping for. Why they're so reluctant to go all out on this, I don't know. Or let's at least have a test. I mean, you have the off season coming up. Wouldn't that be your chance to take the car to, I mean, the other year they did it out in Phoenix. Stay after Phoenix championship week and let them things run unlimited at 900 to 1,000 horsepower, and let's see what kind of data you get. Let's try it. I don't know why they're so reluctant to try it. Or, you open the season at Bowman Gray. Instead of having a 750, horsepower on the thing, have it wide open. Can you imagine having to really pedal that thing and get egg under your throttle at a Bowman Gray? That would be awesome.
And especially it's a race that doesn't really count per se for points. So, why not give it a shot there and see what you get? And, another front, the old lawsuit's still hanging out there, and there's a little bit more news on that this week. Looks like they're going to be headed back to court for mediation on October 21st, I think it is. They're kind of going to have another mediator come in to kind of maybe try to settle this thing. I mean, this thing right here screams for a settlement. It really does. I mean, it's getting to the point where we're getting down to it, and if we can't come to terms and we butt heads and we have two completely different sides, one side's going to lose, which – it happens in every case that way. But overall, the big picture, I think we're all going to lose no matter who wins this thing, because I don't know if there's a big is there a plan in place, to go forward with this ends? I haven't really seen one yet.
No, we've been asking all along, what is Denny and MJ and those guys looking for? What would constitute a settlement and make them happy? There's been no dollar figure.
No, and permanent charters probably for one is probably they probably want more control that way. So maybe there's a little bit of leeway that way. NASCAR is kind of monopolistic. It really is. I mean, and if you really dove into it, you would see, if you're a vendor or like a food vendor or something, they make you got to get their card scanners, that kind of stuff. You have to follow a set protocol and plan that they put into place, and a lot of it is using their equipment, their whatever they say is good for that. So I get that's out there. It's been that way for a long time. Now, but I don't see a plan on the other side that says, okay, if we win and everything is gone and now we get what we want and NASCAR has to sell off a bunch of stuff, what's in place to keep the series going? And not is it just blown up when we start from scratch, or does these teams have some kind of way to say, hey, how do we keep this going forward? Okay, you got this power, but now what do you do with it, kind of thing?
Right. Yeah, I think that's the biggest question. So somewhere along the line, you got to have some parameters as to what everybody's looking for here and how you determine who's a winner and who's a loser.
I think so. And I don't know, is Todd still with us? Todd, does this thing not scream settlement to you?
Guys, the road noise is terrible right here.
Okay.
Here's my thought is, you were talking about that new rules, bumping them up 80 horsepower. Why would they even mention this while we have that lawsuit hanging over us? Because there's an asterisk on everything they say, which is we will have an 80 horsepower bump if we're still in business.
Yeah.
That's a good way to tie it together.
Yeah, and I have just noticed that they are kind of making some kind of concessions toward the people are screaming for more horsepower. Okay, we're going to kind of float that way now too. We don't like the playoff format. Okay, we're looking at maybe doing a full season point thing back the way it was. I mean, they're almost kind of going back to the old school thing. Is that kind of setting up to see how this lawsuit thing all ends? Because if it all goes down, you're going to need those people that brought you there in the first place that you kind of brushed aside for the last couple of years.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
everything
Terrible
comes full
situation
circle.
to be in.
Yeah, it really is. Hopefully they can come and something to get together before it's too bad. And there are people that want to, stick it to NASCAR. Great, I get that. People, and there are other people that don't like a guy like Jordan coming in here and rocking a whole boat. But either way, no matter what, at the end of the day, we have to have something in place to race with, and hopefully cooler heads will prevail here, and they'll come together with some kind of settlement. Brian, I know it's real quick before we go to our break. The Chicagoland tickets went on sale on Friday as we go back there July 3rd to the 5th, back to the Oval, back to the old Speedway, which I'm kind of looking forward to it because I think it should be a good show.
Yep. They went on sale. I got an email about it. I didn't open it yet to take a look. But, if you want tickets to that race and you want some seats, I'd recommend getting them. One would hope it would be a tough ticket by the end of it, and then they could fill that place up and really show people that, we want them back.
That's right. So check that out if you can. And we're going to head to a break. We'll be back with some results.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Fall has arrived, but there's still time to get your landscaping complete before the snow flies. And PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Right now, the Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
Anthony Edwards. When you're drafted that high, it's like, okay, we want to see what you have. Anthony Edwards is 23. So you got to be fair to the timeline here. Because we were looking for the next Jordan for how long? Well, we're still looking for the next Jordan. Anthony Edwards, he reminds me of Jordan. No, not me. Not yet.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
The Dan Patrick Show. Weekdays at 8 a.m. on Fox Sports 920.
LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
We are rapidly winding down the Midwest portion of the dirt track season here. We'll start Friday night, Francis Crick, Wisconsin, the 141 Speedway. Car Wars 2, second year of it. For the IMCA Modifieds, the feature winner Friday night was Cole Sarneski. Stock Cars was also Cole Sarneski, and the Grand Nationals was Jeff Richards. Over at Darlington, Wisconsin, the Lafayette County Speedway had the Bob Larson Memorial 2-day special. Night number 1 Friday, the IMCA Modified feature winner was Jeff Larson. The Limited Lates was Ty Webster, and the Stock Cars was Jeremy Christensen. Over in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, the USAC Amsoil National Sprint Cars, Kyle Cummins was your feature winner there. Kansas City, Kansas at the Lakeside Speedway for the High Limit Sprint Car Series, Brent Marks picked up the feature win there. New Egypt, New Jersey for the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series, Carson Macedo grabbed the feature win. Greenwood, Louisiana, the Boot Hill Speedway for the World of Outlaw Real American Beer Late Model Series, the Boot Hill Classic. Night number 1 feature winner was Tim McCready. And Oswego, New York, they put dirt on the big paved track there for Super Dirt Week 53 for the Super Dirt Car Series. Friday night, the 358 Modifieds were the headliner. The Salute to the Troops 150, and Matt Williamson came from 21st to win that feature there. Last night, Francis Quick, their final race of the season for Car Wars. The Modifieds went to Brandon Schmidt, Stock Cars Aaron Stolp, and the Grand Nationals was Taylor Ron. Night number 2 in Darlington at the Lafayette County Speedway for the Bob Larson Memorial. The IMCA Modifieds was Jed Fierberger, and the IMCA Stock Cars was Jeremy Christensen. Lawrenceburg, Indiana, the USAC Amsoil National Sprint Car Series, $20,000 to win. Logan Seavey was your winner there, and Kyle Cummins clinched his first USAC Amsoil National Sprint Car Series title, with finishing, I believe, 3rd that night. Kansas City, Kansas, the second night at the Lakeside Speedway for the High Limit Sprint Cars, Brad Sweet was your winner. Abbottstown, Pennsylvania, the Lincoln Speedway for the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, Anthony Macri came back from the injury, picked up the feature win there. Gaffney, South Carolina, the Cherokee Speedway for the Hunt to Front Super Late Model Series, the Blue Gray 100, $35,000 to win. That went to Zach Mitchell. Greenwood, Louisiana, the Boot Hill Speedway. Night number 2 for the World of Outlaw Real American Beer Late Model Series. Boot Hill Classic, $50,000 to win. Ryan Gustin picked up the winner. That's his second big money win of the season. If you remember, he won up at Cedar Lake, the $100,000 win in the race earlier this year. So he's having a quietly good season. And finally, the big race of the weekend was in Oswego, New York. Super Dirt Week 53 for the Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds. The Billy Whitaker Cars 200. If you remember, this race used to be at Syracuse years ago. It was the big race. It was always on a Sunday. They moved it to a Saturday night for better track conditions. $52,000 to win, and Matt Williamson took home all the money this week. He won the 358 race, and he won the big block race last night to finish off Super Dirt Week. So that is everything for this week.
All right, and on the asphalt side, we're going to start last Sunday at La Crosse Speedway. Remember, the Oktoberfest race weekend wrapped up with the ASA Midwest 2, the Oktoberfest 200. Ty Majeski got the win. It's his 5th Oktoberfest title. It ties Joe Shear for the most of all time. I got to say about that race, I got to give a call to Penn Sauter. You know, he was the fastest qualifier there at the back and had all that money on the line. He finished 5th, so it wasn't like he didn't give him a run for it. I mean, that was pretty good for a young team like that to give it a shot, and a good day there. Your champion for the ASA Midwest Tour for the season was Casey Johnson, who edged out Gabe Summers, and good for Casey. You know, I mean, it kind of completed a comeback of sort, I think, because I remember the last couple of years he kind of didn't run a full season because he had those issues that kept him out of the car for a while. So I think that kind of brought it back where you run the season and you got the championship. So good for him. That's
and he put a post out there that he plans on going to Florida to run both the Bigley race and the Snowball Derby, and he's looking for some assistance. So if anybody out there wants to give a little smaller team a little bit of a hand to go down to Florida and compete,
that's right. I would. Call. I know he went down and tried a couple of years ago, and they came up just short. So it'd be cool to have him go down there and actually, make the event. And Casey's a good dude, man. He works and he helps other people out. And if you can call people racers, and Casey's a racer if you get that moniker. So good for him. The rookie of the year in that ASA Midwest Tour was Cody King. A good run from him in that 14 car. This weekend they're all in Winchester, Indiana. It's the big Winchester 400 weekend. The ASA Stars National Tour is there. On Friday night, the CRA Jegs All-Stars Tour ran there. And Albert Francis was the winner of that race. And the champion there was Billy Van Meter for the Jegs All-Stars Tour. Today, the Winchester 400 is the 54th annual. That track is bad, fast. Your pole sitter is Ty Majeski. Billy Van Meter qualified second. Some other notable starters: Cole Butcher, the point leader for the Star Series, is 5th. Albert Francis, who won on Friday night, he'll start 6th. Stephen Nassy is there. He'll start 9th. Derek Krause went down there in the 9 car. He starts 18th. And Jesse Bernhagen is going to make it a start down at Winchester in his 28 car. The principal is going to go to school here at Winchester. It's a pretty bad, fast track. He starts 20th. That'll be on Track TV. I think Green Flag is like around noon, I think, Brian?
Noon. Yes, noon.
So, and that's a survival race. I mean, Winchester is bad, fast the way it is in 400 laps there. You got to survive to the finish to pull it off. It's hard on equipment. It's hard on drivers. It's a pretty tough race. It's kind of cool to see many cars go down there for that. Ty Majeski being on the pole could be a favorite here. He's not won at Winchester. He's only run a couple of them, but it'd be nice to see him maybe get the victory there. Or even guys like Krause, who had a good run at Anderson earlier this year, to make a statement. And Jesse Bernhagen going down there from here. That's kind of cool seeing these guys kind of venture out, and get around there and
get the experience.
Yep. Right. Show those guys down there what we got here. So I think that should be a good deal. It's if you get a chance on Track TV, get a chance to watch it. It's pretty good coverage. I work with those guys at a bunch of races during the summer, and it's kind of fun, and they do a good job at what they do. Coming up, and also we're going to touch back instead of the La Crosse at Oktoberfest. That was another successful weekend. Midwest Tour had a good season again. They wrapped that one up. Hopefully they'll have their schedule out for next year coming up to see where they're all going to go. And
one other result from your neck of the woods there, ARCA ran Friday night at the Bull Ring. But
that's right.
They had a lot of weather there, didn't they? And Trevor Huddleston got the win?
They did. And Huddleston in the 50 car was the winner, but it actually rained in Vegas. Who said it doesn't rain in Vegas? Once in a while it does. And Friday night it did a lot. And a thunderstorm go through here and delayed that race and actually caused a little bit of flooding around town here because the drainage isn't used to having that much rain at one time. You don't get that in a desert. So it was a late night there at the Bull Ring, but they did get the event in, and Trevor Huddleston was the winner on the ARCA West Tour. That's pretty much all your results. They're kind of winding down now. We're going to start heading to some of the specials now, the out-of-state specials. You're going to have Nashville coming up, and you sit down in Florida, the Bigley race and the Snowball, of course, the one to end the year.
One other quick news note that I forgot to mention on the dirt side of it. Some sad news out of the sprint car world. Bobby Allen, one of the original Outlaws, passed away this week. The name familiar with his son, Jacob Allen, has been racing for quite a while, and his grandson, Logan Schuhart. They run Shark Racing. Long-time fixture in the pits. If you're ever up in the Wisconsin area, he was good friends with the McGraths. He'd always be hanging out with Joel McGrath and Mitch McGrath's dad and that whole family. So some sad news. One of the original Outlaws, Bobby Allen, passed away this week.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about an influential guy. I mean, how many people have got, started through them?
Oh, yeah. Scruffy Bobby Allen, they called him.
Exactly. And we're going to head away. Our final break. We'll be back and we'll give you our picks today for the Vegas race. We'll be back right after this.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship-winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com.
Rush on, tight pocket. There we go. Set. There you go. There's the pressure they've been waiting for. Edger and Cooper. Cairo Santos for the game. Here's the snap. Placement made. The kick is blocked. It is blocked. It is blocked. And the Packers have won. Beautiful.
The home of your Green Bay Packers and the flagship of the Packers Radio Network.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
97.3 The Game.
And back for our final segment here on the LTN Hour. I'm Dan Margetta here in Las Vegas, getting ready for the South Point 400, the playoff race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Brian Schmidt is back in Oostburg, Wisconsin, at his regular home base. Todd is on the road, heading eventually to Arizona, but on his way to Salt Lake City right now. And guys, I guess it's time to kind of think who's going to win this race. Who are our picks for Las Vegas? Todd, do you want to kick it off?
I was really convinced that I was going to take Christopher Bell today because those Toyotas are good. I hate Toyotas, but they're pretty good, we have to admit. But, I have to be true to myself, and I picked William Byron to win the championship, and I think I'm going to pick him to punch his ticket to the Final Four. Let's do it today. Why not?
He's run really good. I mean, and the Hendrick cars kind of surprised everybody how they came out of the box pretty strong, and Byron especially led practice for a while, even more so than Larson. And Brian, who's your pick?
Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing as Todd. I kind of picked Denny Hamlin to be in the Final Four this year and make his way to the top, and he's the point leader going into this final round, and he starts on the pole today, and I don't see anything changing there. I see Denny Hamlin punching his ticket today.
All right, if you leave Christopher Bell out there, I'm going to take Christopher Bell. It's how many times he's been, second here at this race and just misses it. Time to get the win and put yourself to Phoenix for the Final Four and actually get the job done. He's been there so many times now with a shot, and they never seem to capitalize on it. I know last year he got shut out at Martinsville, so the time is to do it now. Remember last year, wasn't he leading this race late when Joey kind of beat him on the few mileage and tires type deal?
Yes, that was the case, and he was so depressed with himself for not getting that deal done.
Right. I mean, I think it's going to be a good, decent race, though. I really do. I think you got a lot of good guys. All your playoff guys that are left, I know they always say all we talk about is the playoff guys, but look at the guys that are left. Those are probably the 8 best guys. I mean, there's really nobody that squeaked their way into this round. Everybody here can can lay out a legitimate path to a championship. So I think that'll be kind of neat to see for a while. That this might get pretty close as we get going here. And look at Kansas. I mean, that finish at Kansas was outstanding. I thought. What did you think? Didn't you?
Yeah, and if you look at the reset, the way these points are set up, we didn't mention that earlier, but as you reset this now and go to these final 8 drivers, you have Denny Hamlin, he's 8 to the good. Blaney is 6 to the good, and he's the farthest down starting guy today, starting 12th. Kyle Larson, 4 to the good. Byron, 4 to the good. On the outside looking in, Bell, he's 4 out. Chase Elliott, 14 out. Chase Briscoe, 14 out. And Joey Logano, 24 out. So this is where your playoff points, the points you put in your bucket, we talk about all year long, really come into play, because that's what's separating where these guys are as they go forward. And as you can see, Joey Logano not having a good year all year, 24 points out going into this final race. I don't think he'd be able to point his way into this when you look at the guys in front of him. So I think, he's going to have to win one of these races.
And it could happen. There's the wild card races next week at Talladega and Martinsville. Really, it's all up in the air. Who can set your ticket to Phoenix? On the Xfinity side, they ran that race last night, and Todd mentioned it was on at the same time as the baseball game. And I'll admit, too, I watched the baseball game because the Brewers-Cubs is kind of a big deal. But Eric Almirola got the win in the 19 car. Now, that also could have put a driver into the Phoenix Final Four. It didn't, because Almirola didn't run the whole schedule. So the car is in the owner's points, the car owner's Final Four. The 19 car will be there, but because it's had multiple drivers this year, Almirola did not put his ticket in there. So there will be another spot open for points.
But it did change the way the rest of the season is going to go, because now they plan on having Eric Almirola run that car the rest of the year. Justin Bonsignore was supposed to run that car, I believe, at Martinsville and Phoenix, and they made the announcement late last night that Almirola is going to drive that car for the rest of the year to try to win the championship for Gibbs, because Gibbs only has one car in the final 8 for the Xfinity Series right now. That's Brandon Jones, and he's on the outside looking in as we go to Talladega next week.
Right. So, and that race yesterday, it was pretty much Almirola, Connor Zilic, and Jesse Love were probably your 3 fastest cars there. I think Nick Sanchez had his hand in it for a little while there. In fact, Love and Sanchez had a little bit of altercation on pit road afterward about how hard they were racing each other for the win on that. But Almirola, I thought, had the fastest car all day in the over long run speed type thing, and that's what he kind of ran Zilic down. But Zilic, kept him honest at least. And as we go to Phoenix, remember, Zilic really isn't in there yet. He's probably going to get the points position in one of them. But
when you look at these points right now, they have Talladega, Martinsville, and Phoenix left. Connor Zilic, this is one race into this now. He's 82 points to the good. That's insane.
That's more than a race.
Yeah, that's 2 races almost. Justin Allgaier, he's 44 to the good. Jesse Love is 20 to the good, and then it gets tight after that. Sam Mayer, he's 8 to the good in. On the outside looking in is Brandon Jones. He's 8 out. Sheldon Creed, 21 out. Carson Quapple, 22 out. And Sammy Smith is 24 out going to Talladega. Talladega, like you said, it's a definite crapshoot, and any one of these guys could win it or none of them at all. And with there being a different winner last week, that means there's going to be at least 2 points positions for this deal. And then depending upon what happens at Talladega and Martinsville, I'd say Connor Zilic is he's probably going to be in there no matter what, but the rest of it I think is up for grabs.
Right, and especially with those 2 wildcard races next week at Talladega, there's really no strategy to survive that. I mean, guys have tried to ride around in the back and try to avoid the big trouble, and they still get swept up in it. There's really no way to do it but just go out and run your race and see where it lands. And that's why on the Cup side, even today at Vegas, if you're one of those playoff guys, you can put your ticket to Phoenix and not have to worry about that the next 2 weeks. That's a huge deal today, which makes this race pretty important. Thanks for joining us for this Sunday morning. We've been kind of scattered all over the place this week. We'll be back next week, same time, and we'll heading on to Talladega weekend, and we'll see how we move on here with the season as we get down to the championship in Phoenix. Coming up for everybody here, we want to thank Matt Losey for putting this all together, turning the knobs, and making it all work out so it sounds pretty decent on the air. And I thank PJ, who'll be with us hopefully next week for setting this whole thing up on the meeting-wise to get this going. And, of course, Todd Bailing on the road in Nebraska on his way to Salt Lake City. Brian, thanks for joining us here from Oostburg, from holding the fort down there. And I'm coming to you from the 22nd floor of the MGM Grand here in Vegas, and we're getting ready for a race today. Let's have a good day. We'll see you next week, everybody.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. Find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.